Welcome back to the Bloomington Breakfast Club, Hoosiers. We missed you over break. I'm Lydia Knoll.
And I'm Gabrielle Valenson. Yes, we all hope you had a relaxing Thanksgiving break while enjoying time with family and friends. There's a lot to be thankful for.
We have a great show for you all this morning with the latest of campus news and sports culture.
Plus, we have a lot of celeb gossip and entertainment to catch up on with TVBC's Avery Pierce for our unnecessary updates of the day.
You won't want to miss it, so stay tuned, Hoosiers. Nothing captures the culture of sport here at IU quite like the atmosphere of Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall on a big game day. This past week was certainly no exception as the #1 ranked team in the nation, Duke University, made its way to Bloomington for a hard-fought match. Indiana students camped out at the front of the GA line beginning at 6 a.m. game day morning. That's 15 and a half hours before tip-off. The Duke Blue Devils senior shooting guard Grayson Allen said after the game, quote, "The crowd was incredible. They were loud from start to finish, and it was an amazing experience to play here." For the new head coach, Archie Miller, this was his first packed house that he's really experienced. In the press conference after the game, Miller said, quote, "#1, I would like to thank our fans. Assembly Hall was all it was cracked up to be tonight. Shout out to those fans who made it to the game, and if you didn't make it to the game, there will be plenty more opportunities in the near future with Big Ten now underway." And that's all I got on sports. So, Gabby, fill us in on Bloomington news.
Yes, Greek life has been temporarily suspended. Yes, you heard that right. The Interfraternity Council has suspended all social and unsupervised new member activities until February 28th, 2018. IFC President Andrew Cowie said it was the council's decision. Cowie said, quote, "We saw an opportunity to take a proactive stance to correct a problem we see active within our community," end quote. Temporary Greek suspensions have been trending lately at other universities across the nation, like the University of Michigan and the Ohio State University. The IFC is holding Greek life to a higher standard, and their hope is to start a conversation on campus about how Greek life can be improved. Many students who are part of the Greek system, however, do not feel nearly the same way. They believe that Greek life keeps campus safer. There are sober monitors, risk events, and executive boards. Plus, Greek life raises a lot of money for philanthropic organizations, specifically IUDM. After a member of the Sigma Pi fraternity passed away last semester from suicide, the Greek community stepped up, and the Brothers of Sigma Pi planned a campus-wide event discussing the stigma surrounding mental health. Once the suspension lifts in March, many students feel that there will be more issues at Greek parties than ever before. Spring recruitment will still take place, but new member events will be supervised. This is a warning to students given by the IFC, so the council is not forced to end Greek life altogether. Cowie and Vice Provost of Student Affairs Lori Reeser will set up a plan to help the fraternity chapters accomplish goals over these next 3 months. And since we last saw all of you, a lot has happened in the crazy world of celebrity and pop culture. Avery, please come join us because we need you for this.
Of course we do. We can't do this without Avery anymore.
Exactly.
Welcome on. Where do we even start today? There's been so much.
Well, you know where I want to start. I want to start with the latest engagement news, the royal engagement. Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, how do we feel? I'm excited about it.
I would have to agree with you. I love it. I think they get along well. I've watched a couple of their interviews, and they seem to have good chemistry. They seem to have good senses of humor, and so I think hopefully they will do well together.
I do too. I do. I agree. How do you?
I didn't care. I'm not a big fan of royals. I didn't understand the hype or the appeal. So I didn't pay any attention. But then I found out that because she's getting married, that she will not return to Suits for season 7.
Right. So did you watch? Were you?
I'm a big fan of Suits, and I'm very
Oh.
upset and very disappointed.
Okay, that's a different angle. I like that.
That is. So as an actor, how is she as an actress? Because I personally have not seen
Well,
her.
she's not a big star.
Right.
I can't really name anything she's done outside of Suits, but Suits was her primary show for the past maybe 8 years now. And it looks like she's going to be taking a break from acting at the very least. Might be a
Yes.
permanent break after this.
Interesting.
She is now joining our royal family. But yeah, their interviews were great. That was exciting, and
Yeah.
the whole world seems to get very excited about a royal engagement.
Oh,
you know, it's,
totally.
I mean, that's what I think.
No, I remember.
okay.
I remember.
Okay.
Moving on, the Victoria's Secret fashion show in Shanghai. Many of the models could not walk because their visas had not been updated. That seems like that should be a problem that should be
That should
taken
have
care of
been-
so long
I
ago,
agree.
considering the preparation
I agree.
and the fact that the show is an annual thing.
Yeah.
I don't
Gigi
understand why that was a
Hadid-
problem.
Gigi Hadid
Like-
didn't walk. Who else? There was one other model, but you know, her sister Bella
Yeah.
did. Yeah, I agree. That should have been taken care of.
I always forget the Victoria's Secret show still happens. I always forget that's the
Does
thing we still do.
happen. Yes, we still
You didn't
do
even
that.
tune in to watch Harry Styles perform?
No, I didn't know this was happening. It's such a weird niche event that keeps happening that I just completely forget about every year.
Fair. I do love the coverage that the diversity has gotten, though. This year they had
Yes.
more diversity than any of the previous
Yes.
shows before. We had girls walking with their entirely natural hair. I love that aspect of it. I think
Me
it's
too.
opening doors for a bunch of other people as well.
Yeah, and for the whole, model industry.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I have very mixed feelings on this. Matt Lauer getting fired from NBC due to inappropriate sexual behavior. I mean, it seems like this is happening now all the time,
Over
and it's
and
very
over
sad.
again.
And
It is.
it's just yeah. How do you feel about that, Yves?
There have been a lot of rumors about Matt Lauer for maybe like 8 years now. There was some rumors that he's the reason that Ann Curry was fired. But those are just gossip. But it's always different when these gossips or these blind items get confirmed in such a dramatic way, like getting fired overnight.
It's true. It was very dramatic, and I actually just saw Savannah Guthrie and Hoda. They gave the little announcement together, and they were sad. I mean, it's their co-host.
Crazy. Yeah, totally.
And it just happened so fast. So crazy.
My goodness, yes. Next up, turns out that we have been singing one of T-Pain's, actually 2 of T-Pain's songs wrong. One of them, it's been 10 years that we've been singing it wrong. Turns out in Buy You a Drink, Gabby, you're gonna have to correct me on the
Yeah.
lyrics because they say, instead of it's and there, it's oh we.
Or no, it's like have you heard this? Have you
Like,
heard this? It's
I'm
like,
There's
I'm
like
gonna
a
take-
classic line that apparently everyone screws
I'm
up.
a huge T-Pain fan. Been for my entire life. He's a classic. Can't discuss early 2000s rap without mentioning T-Pain. I always thought the lyric was, and we.
Okay,
Because
that's
it's always like a
closer.
transition from
Right.
okay, so in the first verse he's at a bar, second verse he's at
And
home,
we.
third verse he's at a different club. So that was like, and we, and then they transitioned somewhere else. I had no idea it was and the.
or something.
Oh,
we.
Oh, we?
Oh, we. Yes. Yeah, apparently.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
very wrong.
And there's a second one too. So
I-
this one has been wrong for 10 years.
Yeah.
But then his song with DJ Khaled,
Yeah.
All I Do Is
All
Win.
I Do Is Win.
That
It's
one
like
apparently we've been singing wrong as
Everybody's
well.
hands go up, and they say,
Instead of people saying and they stay there, but it's and they say yeah.
No, that's not true.
what is it?
According to T-Pain.
I don't believe him.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
don't
what he
believe
just
him.
tweeted out.
He tweeted it.
I clearly remembered him saying, and they stay there. Ah, man, I'm
You
shaking
know
to
what?
my
I
core.
think you should go speak to him.
I need to have a conversation with
I think so.
T-Pain. We need to get T-Pain on the phone.
You take that up with him, maybe.
Oh my goodness.
I have a lot of complaints to make.
What's up with you?
Well,
What's your update?
in the Grammys, it seems that Bernie Sanders as well as Mark Ruffalo have been nominated for Best Audiobook for his book, Our Revolution. And he's competing against posthumously Carrie Fisher for her book
Oh,
as well.
okay. So how do we feel about that?
I, for one, have not listened to his audiobook. So I can't tell you whether it's Grammy worthy or not. But
I always forget that audiobooks count for Grammys. That's always strange to me.
yes,
They
that
do.
too. I didn't realize.
And speaking of Grammys, you are going to be speaking about all of that,
Oh,
all
yes, I
the
am.
Grammy gossip
Oh,
for
yes,
your
I am.
A-list. So thank you for joining us again this week, and go tell us what you have.
Of course. I'm on my way. You might remember last year when Adele, crying and cradling her Grammy Album of the Year at the end of the night, tearfully told audiences that Beyonce actually deserved the award for her album Lemonade. Or maybe you remember 2015 when Beck won Album of the Year over Beyonce, an upset that literally no one predicted. Or maybe you remember when Macklemore beat Kendrick Lamar for Best Rap Album, a decision so egregious that even Macklemore seemed embarrassed. All these moments led the people to a conclusion that many had arrived at years ago, that the Grammys are kind of racist, or at the very least, the Grammys don't care about rap and R&B. Even though black artists make music that's actually more popular than what's in the pop categories, they don't usually win in the big name categories like Album of the Year or Record of the Year. Black artists are often relegated to categories like rap and R&B, and rarely move out of them. The entire history of the Grammys, only 10 black artists have won Album of the Year, and artists have been taking note and backing off, as people like Drake and Frank Ocean have opted out of the charade because of how the Grammy snubs artists of color. Which is why it's incredibly important that this year, the Grammys Album of the Year category includes 0 white artists. Aside from a few producers in the background like Jack Antonoff, for example, Lorde is the only white artist in the category with 4 other performers: Jay-Z, Bruno Mars, Childish Gambino, and Kendrick Lamar. The diversity also carries into the Record of the Year, when Justin Bieber, who's nominated for Despacito, a popular Spanish song, is a lone white artist. Another thing you'll notice about these categories is the lack of an obvious commercial outlier, a la Alabama Shake sound. And Color 2 years ago, or Sturgill Simpson's The Sailor's Guide to Earth last year. No, who is this artist? Trending topic needed here. Indeed, all 5 albums have charted at least one song in the top 25 of the Billboard Hot 100, and only the second time in the last 10 years that an entire Album of the Year pool can make such a claim. Even the only old guy here, Jay-Z at a ripe 47, has the biggest moment of contemporary relevance in at least half a decade, with his unanimously acclaimed and best-selling 444 project. Another thing you'll notice is the major category is a total lack of rock, or anything vaguely resembling it, really. There was no rock in the major categories last year either, but there was Simpson, a guitar-playing singer-songwriter who still fit the genre mode. As well as an alternative radio heroes, 21 Pilots nominated for Record of the Year for their Stressed Out. This year, the closest thing to a rock star in the big 4 categories, album, record, song, and new artist, is the alt by default Lorde. Only because melodrama is just a little too left of center to be considered straight pop. This was the year that online voting was introduced to get younger members to vote, so perhaps the diversity in Grammy nominations are a result of that change. Not a moment too soon either, because 3 years after the Grammys nearly inspired Kanye West to pull another Kanye, the show finds itself on a precarious footing with the artists most closely defining popular music in 2017. R&B star and critical favorite Frank Ocean declined to indulge the awards last year, not even submitting his obvious contender Blonde for consideration, claiming the Grammys didn't seem to be representing very well for people who come from where I come from. This year, Drake appears to be following suit, not even explaining why he didn't bother putting his More Life project up for the awards. It wasn't hard to sense a full-scale rebellion from the hip-hop and R&B worlds brewing against the Grammys, particularly after another universally adored Beyonce LP went down last year. Albeit in slightly less egregious fashion, it'll be interesting to see if the 2018 Grammys are a glimpse at a larger trend or is merely a reactionary decision made to pander towards R&B and rap audiences. And now we'll be back right after this break.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle Valenson, co-host of the Bloomington Breakfast Club.
And I'm Bryce Reef, Creative Content Director for Indiana University Student TV. And if you enjoy the shows that we feature and want to get involved, then we've got great news for you.
IUS TV is always looking for motivated and talented individuals that want to help make the best shows possible. From sports and news to our morning and late night talk shows, we are looking for talent both in front of and behind the camera.
And if you don't have any experience, don't worry, we have professionals that will train you in gathering the skills you need to excel.
So if you ever wanted to work in the world of television, then email Bryce at breef@umail.iu.edu for getting involved with this great organization.
And please support IUS TV by subscribing to us on all social media platforms and our YouTube channel. We hope to hear from you soon, and go Hoosiers.
As always, we have a very special guest with us in studio today. This one happens to be a fellow media school student.
fellow media school student, as well as a host to her own morning show. Everyone, please welcome Courtney Robb. Hi.
Hi,
How
guys.
are you?
Good to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
Of course.
you.
So first, we want to talk about this show of yours that you've started with the Herald Times.
Right. So it's a weekly update show, and it's kind of changed throughout my course of being there. It started in the summertime, actually. We didn't have much going on sport-wise. It's a sports show, to get that out there. So what I did is I was like, hey, I would like to do an update show and keep everyone up to date on the things that are happening over the summer. So I pitched that idea, and they liked it, and we're like, yeah, do what you want with it. And it kind of goes different ways. I'll anchor like at a desk, like very serious, depending on the topics, or I'll kind of take more of sometimes an entertainment-y kind of column-y feel to it, depending on the day and the stories at hand. So that transferred over into the school year, and when sports picked up, we had a lot more to talk about. Especially when basketball and football were colliding with each other.
Right.
So I do a weekly show every single week, various times, usually Thursdays or Fridays, and I talk about all whatever sports are happening, the biggest ones, the biggest news that comes out of those. I've talked pretty much about everything at this point. It's been really nice.
Very cool. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, and this show is not through IUS TV, it's through the Herald Times.
Yeah.
So what is your position at the Herald Times?
Yeah, so my position is actually Hoosier Sports Report producer. That's technically the outlet that we call it under. It's a separate version of the Herald Times that's geared towards sports specifically. And so what I do is I'm kind of a content producer. So I work under my boss, who does a bunch of sports video and does all that throughout like all the sports that he pretty much can in a 40-hour work week. And then I have gone out and made my own, stories on different things, cover various athletic events, and then wanted more just anchoring experience, and so I do that weekly update show every week to kind of fill those gaps.
That's great.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so as far as the different segments you put together, like you said, sometimes you anchor, sometimes you do more of a column sort of piece. What has been one of your favorite pieces or things that you've covered?
Favorite things that I've covered. Well, the summer was a really fun time because there was nothing to do, so we had a great opportunity to really get creative. One of the most fun things I did was I actually learned to golf from the women's golf coach.
Oh, so cool.
And I kind of made those into like funny little feature pieces that kind of had a different theme to them. Like there's like 5. One, I was learning like different steps throughout, like chipping, putting, driving, and then I did like a full course with the coach. And that was, it was really fun. And I edited it that way, so I did I think I did a 90s theme one. I did one where I was just like falling all the time, kind of just a little bit of humor into the normal work day. And then a piece we did actually out of that was we did a mean tweets video.
That's so funny.
Where it was just mean tweets about my golf videos and like how bad my golf game was. And I went like on this huge like anger spree and like stormed out of the studio, and it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
That's
No, I
great.
love that. I love the creative aspect
Yeah.
too.
I was gonna say,
The
like, get
flexibility.
creative with it. And, oh, that's so fun. So what have you learned from working at the Herald Times?
It's amazing to see, like, you don't think you're getting that much better, especially on camera. Like, you don't notice it until you watch yourself back, or like you're doing stuff especially if you're doing stuff all the time, like you don't see the change. So when I've because I'm applying for jobs right now, so when I've gone back to put a bunch of my stuff together, I'm like, wow, I've really changed and grown as a reporter and on camera in the past year, which has been so incredible to see, and a lot from the production side of things. It's different. I was talking to Lydia about this earlier, but it's different when you're doing something for class because you're like, all right, this is on me. Like, if I mess up, it's not that big of a deal. But when you're working for an outlet or an entity, you're like, all right, if I mess up, this is like professional. So that was kind of the biggest jump I made, and I made a lot of strides production-wise. There are certain days, like I said, when my boss can't do things, that he's like, all right, take the camera, go to the press conference. I learned so much editing experience, so much on just the basics of learning a camera and going out and doing a one-man band thing, which is going to be absolutely so beneficial to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
You've been around IU athletics for a while now. What has differentiated what you've done through Herald Times versus what you've done through other outlets like BTN Student U or whatever other experience you have?
Right. So I've done pretty much everything. I started at the IDS. I covered women's tennis and women's volleyball for about a year. And writing is, oh my God, so much appreciation for writers because it's like the hardest thing I've probably ever done is working a beat. It's just so exhausting. And then, you know, sideline's different because like for BTN Student U, it's live and you only get one chance in 20 seconds to get it right. So if you mess up, you know, that you gotta have to deal with it, which is very different than being kind of a one-man band person, like doing your own stand-ups and on camera somewhere because you can mess up and redo. I mess up all the time and redo things all the time, which, I mean, it's different in that aspect. And then I did WIUX. I did like a sports talk show for a hot minute there, and that was different just because it was that more kind of entertain-y, column-y, talking about your opinions, which as a reporter, you don't really talk about your opinions that much. So that was kind of that contrast. And then I've just, the past couple of years, been kind of like a content machine, I guess. Like, I'm always looking to do something, and when I'm not doing anything, I get super bored. So even before, like when I wasn't doing WIUX or the IDS and I was just doing BTN Student U, I was like, okay, I need to do more. And I was just producing a bunch of different packages for the Little 500 and different various IU athletics. So the Herald Times, I guess, in contrast to those, is different just because I'm like legitimately reporting, and it was more on like a consistent basis. Like you have to be here, and then like for X amount of time, like football games, you know, were long hours and long days. So it's just given me more of that real world perspective that you obviously are looking for in an internship.
Yeah,
Definitely.
totally.
Okay, so it's your senior year, which is crazy. So what are your plans, you know, for after graduation?
I'm not sure yet.
I know we were saying you always get that question, and it's what you're hearing all the time.
Yeah.
So sorry to ask you, but we want to know.
It's okay. Got it all the time at Thanksgiving, so it's fine.
There you
but I don't know. I just started applying for jobs actually over break. Right now, I'm just focused on finding my best stuff to put in the best possible demo tape to send to people. I just completely redid my resume to more of like a modern kind of thing. And I'm just, you know, getting references and getting people who will kind of stick their necks out for me and making connections. Because making connections is like so huge that I'm always like contacting people I like don't know, and I feel bad because I'm contacting them and I'm like, you don't know me, but I'm looking for a job. So right now I don't know what I'm doing. I've applied to a few jobs, but I'm going to continue doing that, and I probably won't know till the end of the year if that. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
no,
will be
that's
great.
how it works.
Yes.
So as long as you're getting out there and you know what you want, it sounds like you'll get something.
Exactly.
Exactly. Thank you so much for coming on. We
Yeah.
loved talking with you.
Yes, thanks for sharing about your show. Where can people find your show at? The weekly
People
update.
can find my show on the HoosierSportsReport.com. You can type under videos, weekly update with Courtney Robb. Or you can, it's usually on the main page depending on what day it goes up. Or you can follow me on Twitter. I always repost them, and there's a quick link to that. So at CourtKateRobb.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing about it.
Yeah,
Of course.
Thank you. And thank you so much for joining us each Monday morning for all of the latest on all things Bloomington. Be sure to follow us on all social media at B-Town B-Fast Club.
And make sure to tune in next week for our Season 2 finale. We have an exciting show planned to end our successful season.